quick overview of what this assignment is. If you haven't watched the intro video, go back and watch that for me. But this is a what if on classical Greece. This is specifically dealing with the cultural contributions, which this is largely based around how democracy came to be, but it covers a lot of other information. This is a sizable reading block here. I'm not even going to play around and say that it's not, but you need to take your time and read this. This is going to talk about not only about how the idea of democracy was created in Greece, but this is going to discuss how they actually utilized it, how they would use it in their political system. So I'm hesitant to sit here and go through this text piece by piece because I don't want you to skim over this. I don't want you to think if you just watch this video that you get everything that you need from it, because there's no possible way for me to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to give you just a very quick idea of what's in it. I'm not going to talk in detail about what's in here because, like I said, I don't want you thinking that just because I gave the overview that that's all there is to know and you don't have to read it. I gave you this amount of page or amount of text for a reason. There's 9 pages. This barely brushes the surface. There is a huge amount of information here that we're not even addressing. And that's because there's no way to address it in a course like this. But I'm going to do what I can, and then I want you to work on the assignment. And I think you will like the what if assignment with this material. But first, we're going to take a real quick look at the word democracy. Now, 7th grade, you should have learned about the different forms of government, one of those being democracy, both direct and representative. Democracy comes from ancient Greece. They created it. They come up with the idea. So this wasn't something they took and then adapted for themselves. They created this. We've talked about, well, if you were in class, we've talked about, and if you've been doing the other assignments, you've seen it, that there were tons of little islands all around Greece. There was small communities inside of Greece. It was a huge collection. Well, it had to be put together. It had to become a cohesive unit. And the creation of democracy helped bring these together under a single rule so that there was some sort of governing body over them. Like I said, I feel bad not going into detail with this overview, but I really do want you to read this. I know some of the names get confusing, but it'll be fine. Just take a quick look at them. I'm never going to, dock you for not knowing how to pronounce something when you learned that word by reading. If you're in class, I'm pronouncing it for you. But if you're at home and you don't know how to pronounce something and you pronounce it the best that you can with what you're reading, fantastic, you're reading. I'm not going to dock you for that. The second article addresses the same thing, but goes a little bit more into detail of where it come from, who came up with the ideas, how it was used. But then this is the one that I like because it specifically goes into those governing bodies that I mentioned just a second ago. It talks about how voting was held, what things were used to make it so people could vote, how the records were kept, how the law was formed, all of these things. And this one actually shows you some pictures that I thought were pretty cool. Now, granted, I know I have different ideas of what's cool than you do, but hopefully some of you find this as interesting as I do. Like this specifically, ballot discs that were used in the voting process. But like I said, I want you to go through and read this in detail. And this is why. This assignment is going to make you create hypothetical situations based on a question. And the question that I'm posing to you is, what if Athenians had not developed the idea of democracy? So they did not, it did not happen in Athens, Greece. You create and come up with what would have happened. Did someone else do it? Did they create a different form of government? Was it just delayed and it was created later by someone else? Maybe it, moved to another country that was influential as well. Maybe whatever they developed became the more prominent form of government. These are up to you. But I want them well thought out. I don't want these just thrown together and it's just a, whatever, fill in this so you can turn it in for an assignment. If you're doing that, I'm going to count off some points. I want actual hypothetical situations. But the way you fill this out, answer the question in each one of these little pieces right here. I don't want to say triangles because there's a curve to back in on it. It's not a true triangle. But there, if you notice, there's 2 blocks for each inside block. I want you to answer the question. So like, say for instance, you said they developed a different form of government instead, and whatever it was. Well, then I want 2 results of what do you think would have happened if they had created that other form of government. The other one I said, I think, was it was developed in another country. Well, I want 2 results for what if that other country had developed democracy. What would be that outcome? If you have any questions, please write me. But go back and watch the intro video and then go back and read and reread and reread this text. This should take you about 2 days to do. If you can do it in 1 day, great. But I think if you take 2 days to do it, that your answers will be far more thorough and far better thought out. So take your time.